الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. الله.
Okay, all right. Y'all with me? Dharma's Path. What's up, Dharma's Path? Out there getting money all across the west side. What's up? Can we do some new builds, Dharma's Path? Can we build something? I'm telling you, I got a market that houses selling for over 500 square feet. The ones as is on market at 200 something. We buy it cash, probably gonna cost us about 700 to 900,000 in cash though. Own it free and clear, bulldoze it, build a 5,000 to 6,000 square foot house, and profit over $1 million. Word is bond. I could show the math on it. You know what I'm saying? I need to put the Patreon together and everybody together and figure out how we can make $1 million real quick. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can hear me though. Khalid, what up? I'm good. All right, so I'm assuming we good. All right. So you absolutely, if you're just tuning into this, welcome to the channel. You have to go to part one. Part one was divinely orchestrated, as everything is divinely orchestrated. In the middle of the presentation, it was just like, and I think it ended with Allah inspired, God inspired to do something, which I found very ironic. Okay. So you got to pick up on part one to understand where we're going inside of this. All right. All right. So I'll start right here. Because in part one, we talked about how there's a verse that deals with protecting you. The last chapter of the Holy Quran deals with protecting yourself, Allah, seeking refuge in Allah to protect you from the evil whispers. That particular verse, all right, is very important to understand. Okay, so dealing with Allah being the Lord is serious, and dealing with the whisper. The whisper equals 132 when we look at the numerical value, which is here. Okay, waswas. All right. So wasin. So that's like WS waswas, and it equals 132. And that became relative to me in my consciousness because just last week, as I was working on Sirius, I decided to break out an astro map. And Sirius is located about 9 degrees Cancer. And in week maybe one, I had showed where if we go to a circle calculator, okay, go to a circle calculator, and we go to the circumference, which is the circle, and we put in 360, that makes your diameter exactly 114 degrees. Well, when you're in a circle, Anything less than the 180, because 180 is just a straight line from one point to another point, the opposite end. Anything less than that, you're going to get two angles, bare minimum of two. Okay. So here, 114, I know 114 from Sirius. Allah is the Lord of Sirius. So what we have to do is let's observe reality from Sirius, looking out into our solar system and our Earth. Okay. So if we're from Sirius, let me blow this up, then 114 is going to land us somewhere in Pisces. 114 on the right hand side is going to land us in Scorpio. Now, I know that opposite Sirius is a star called Vega. Okay. Now, from Pisces to Vega is 66 degrees. From Vega to Scorpio, to that other 114 degree mark, is 66 degrees. 66 and 66 is 132. So I had called this, well, this is the mouth of God from Sirius because it's an open end. Okay. And so I said, okay, so what is it about this that you want us to understand? Right. So what the constellation looks like is this. All right. We got Pisces, the fish, on the left hand side, where you see that bright Venus star at, or planet. Then you see Aquarius in the middle with the sunlight. Then you see Capricorn, the goat, dead in the middle. Then you see Sagittarius. Then you see the Milky Way rift. And then you see Scorpio on the right. So these constellations, when they align, and this is as if we're looking from Sirius, it's these constellations that we see along the orange line, the zodiac belt, that will be the open mouth. And I said, well, this is interesting. A few things is interesting to me because one, on the Scorpio side, we see the galactic center, the Milky Way rift. We see the age of Aquarius, the age that we in, that constellation. Then we see Vega at the very top. And I want you to pay attention to the rectangle in green on the left in the data section, where you see Vega has a right angle ascension of 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. at 6:37 p.m. Now, I showed in the previous video that Sirius is at 6:45 in the morning. So 18 and 6 is the same thing. It's just 12 hours difference, but it's still 6, but it's 12 hours difference, which means this is opposition. So Vega and Sirius are really two stars that are, to a degree, let's just look at it this way. It's polarizing the Earth in a certain faction. So when you see Vega over here, if we follow the arc, it's on the same arc as Sirius. Okay. So now I'm thinking, and I'm like, Vega, Vega, Vega. Every time you hear Vega, you should automatically think, I think Las Vegas. But Las Vegas is called Sin City. And I said, oh, okay, Sin City, right? So this is, to a degree, it's like Malefic beings said, we're going to take a city, we're going to make a city, because we know Vegas was started by what we call Bugsy Siegel, right? And was created by the mob. So Vegas is created from blood money, drug money, dirty money, sin money. So it's Sin City. What goes on in Vegas, what stays on in Vegas. I remember my partner Jew was getting off a plane in Vegas, and he saw he was on the plane with this on the plane was a young woman, and when they got off the plane and he got his baggage, he seen the young woman run into the arms of this old Caucasian sugar daddy male. And when he was walking through the airport, he saw them in Victoria's Secret. And he was like, boy, they ain't never lied about Vegas, man. You know what I'm saying? And so, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's the popular thing. Vegas, is just known as, again, Sin City. So I know that Vegas sits 36 degrees north latitude. But when I saw that, I said, you got to be kidding me, because in the Holy Quran, chapter 36 literally is called Yasin or Yasin. Yeah, like it's called Yasin. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what? You know what I mean? And so I said, okay. what are you getting at here? All right. So this is what I know from history is the 36-degree north latitude, which Vegas sits on, at the time that this was created in 1820, Vegas wasn't in existence. The West Coast was under, Spanish, it was Mexico. And so, but the Northwest, oh, not the Northwest orders, but the Missouri Compromise said, hey, there are no slaves going to be allowed above this line. And so that's why I say somebody drew a line across the country. Forget drawing a line in the sand, they drew it across the country. So I'm looking at this, and this was all about slaves becoming free, right? So as I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, well, what's going on? What is it that you want us to cue in on? Because see, the thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, we got to know how to counter evil. I wish I had the slide, but that verse in the Bible that deals with, we battle against evil and wickedness in high places. That literally translates to evil cosmic powers, is what it says. Cosmic powers. Okay. And so now we can see an evil frequency, the mob, Sin City, pattern themselves by name off of a star. Then, historically speaking, we can see where this line, this latitude line, was declared for Black people's benefit of freedom. So it's a battle between righteousness and evil within cosmic powers. Okay. So that translates to, well, the only thing we have to do is go to the 36th parallel and just put in some work, and or you can build your city to neutralize that energy that's on that particular plane. Okay. So we about to get real busy. We're bringing out this old stuff. All right. Okay. So we look at this, we say, well, what is it? And I said, okay. You can look at this and you can just see it, right? So this is what I know about Memphis, which sits 35 degrees north. Okay, just one parallel short, but sits 35 degrees north. Memphis has the Bass Pro building, which is a big pyramid. Okay, and it sits on the Mississippi River. Memphis, Tennessee is named after Memphis, Egypt. The god of Memphis was Ptah. The gentleman that you see here, the blue head, looked like he got on what I call the kufi, the Muslim hat, and he got his Muslim beard going. But Ptah, okay. So Memphis, in its origin, honestly, is mirroring its name, its pyramid, after some stuff, a great dynasty that we had in Egypt. Okay. So, but what is it about this spot? And then I said, okay, I get it. You want us to zoom in on these four corners. These four corners I'm talking about is Missouri, really five almost, but Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Illinois would be the fifth element I would put into this. And I said, okay, but what's there? So when we zoom in on the map, it's like, okay, follow the Mississippi River, the little snake that you see more on the left-hand side, that's the Mississippi. And I said, whoa, lo and behold, which right there is a little town called New Madrid. Okay. Now, New Madrid, I know, is a fault line. Okay. Okay. It's called the New Madrid fault line, as you can see. All right. So it's a fault line that's right there. And I said, all right, well, I know in the Quran, all right, I'm gonna skip this. Because I gave a disclaimer on the last video that the work that we do, please don't mistake it for magic. So I'm gonna reiterate this. All right. The Quran says that, so when there came to them the truth from us, from God, the people said, indeed, this is obvious magic. The people didn't relate the divine miracles, the signs, the things that was happening. They didn't give the credit to God. They thought that, yo, Muhammad, Moses, y'all tripping, y'all magic, man. That's magic. So when you hear me, and I'm gonna reiterate this, when you hear me say black magic and things of that nature, I'm really just saying that to appeal to your sense of blackness. But don't mistake it. It's all divine. And the main purpose of what I do called Galactic Activations in the Patreon, when we focus upon a region of space and the next day or 2 days later, science break out and be like, oh my God, we're studying this region of space, and all of a sudden these new stars are starting to be born. A new radio signal was emitting from this star. A new black hole was discovered right here. It happens over and over and over again. This is documented with us. I do that for one chief purpose. It is to turn your attention to the true and living God, because I am under the perception that nobody's really demonstrating that connection of the true and living God. The church is not doing it. Islam is not doing it. Like, it's not being done. Well, we can literally in real time say, God, show us a sign. Man, we're going to focus right here and just concentrate that all of a sudden new stars are born every single time. This is documented. So the chief purpose is, one, to connect you back to the true and living God in real time and just don't read about stories. Two, to show you the power within yourself when you choose to align yourself back to the true and living. That's the purpose. So please don't mistake the work as, here we go again, just a galactic activation. What? You're giving birth to new stars. Literally, right? Like, and if there is a God, why is he allowing this and answering our call every time we do this call? Birth to new stars? Like, that's something totally different. Okay. So please don't mistake this for obvious magic, as the Quran would say. Now, there's a chapter in the Quran, chapter 99, that's called the earthquake. Literally, it's called the earthquake. Okay. Again, New Madrid fault line. That's an earthquake zone. Here's an earthquake verse in the Quran. And when we read the whole verse, it says, when the earth is shaking and its ultimate quaking. Boy, they spitting bars. When the earth is shaking and its ultimate quaking, and when the earth throws out all its contents and humanity cries, what's wrong with it? On that day, the earth will recount everything, having been inspired by your Lord to do so. Stay with me this time. This is where we got lost last time, and everything cut out. But on that day, people will proceed in separate groups to be shown the consequences of their deeds. All right. Let me blow that up because my little cursor thing is in the way. All right. So whoever does an atom weights of good will see it, and whoever does an atom weights of evil will see it. All right. And I always like to say, when dealing with the Quran, what does the earthquake have to do with the work that we do, the good, the bad that we do? So now earthquake is equated to good and bad, Sin City, and what you are and what you should do, in a sense, right? All right. And so prelude 626 demon remover prelude. On that day you shall know that is a sign from your Lord. But this is a prelude. Don't even worry about it. It'll come back around later. All right, inshallah. All right. So the Khalifa. All right. Again, you got to understand part one. All right. Because we showed that the Khalifa, let's start with the Khalifa. The Khalifa has a numerical value of 710. But retreating planets, which is in the very last chapter of the Quran, and whom we're protecting ourselves from, the whispers of the retreating planets, that also has a numerical value of 710. So the Khalifa must be an understanding with what? The retreating planets. Now, there is a star, or the name of the star, or it really translates to bright celestial object. That word appears 5 times in the Quran. Now, that's very, very intriguing, because when you deal with the Sharia, as we showed, which is the law of Islam, when we deal with the throne and we deal with Sirius, all of them have the same numerical value of 570. But what's 570 divided by 5, which is the bright celestial object? 570 divided by 5 is 114, and 114 is the total numbers in what? In the Quran. You see that? And 5 is also a factor, a multiple, or a divisor of 710. Anytime something ends with a 0, it is going to be divisible by the number 5. So 5, the bright celestial object, who the Quran, they say stars, mentioned 5 times, is 100% a divisor or a factor of the retreating planets in the Khalifa, which also is the precise number of multiples, 114, to get to the total number of books in the Quran, which relates to the Sirius or the throne. Y'all follow that? That is wild, man. That is wild. Sidebar, when you look at the word ruh, which is God created and he put the spirit inside of man, his spirit, that's ruh 57. That's mentioned 57 times, right? 57 is half of what? 114, the total chapters in the Quran. So if 114 on that first slide I showed you is the diameter, then that means that the radius, because radius is half diameter, the radius is 57 when you put 360 as the circumference in the circle. Okay. So all of this is connected. As you can see, this is nothing more than a numerical family tree. Again, you can go back to part 1 and the previous video dealing with the throne to get to the other parts of another name for star was mentioned 13 times, which is the same amount of times that when Allah said he proportioned man, made man, is mentioned 13 times, because we are ultimately, like I said, we are made out of star dust. Okay, literally. So the Khalifa is someone who is directly in knowledge with the retreating planets. This is why the Quran keeps on emphasizing by the sun, by the moon, and all of this stuff. Okay, so that's who the Khalifa is. All right, the one who has complete universal knowledge. Okay. So yeah, stay tuned for the prelude. It's gonna get really, 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 really interesting around here. All right. All right. So yeah, that's really it, man. I was almost finished before the video had interrupted and whatnot. But let me know what you think in the chat. You got a question in the chat. Let me know. And I gotta take me a little hookah. All right. All right. But yeah, if you got a question, put it in the chat and whatnot. Let me see something here. That's crazy, man. Sin City on the 36th parallel in chapter 36 is called literally Yasin. All right. Part 2, the video before this, I noted this retrograde action that's taking place. Y'all need to really pay attention to those dates right there. The red dates is the most strongest, but I pay attention to the last white date. We're gonna have a Mercury retrograde and a Venus retrograde. These two planets from Earth. This is like us looking from Earth. They're about to pass in between us and the sun. You won't see them because of the brightness of the sun. But when that happens, that creates like a wind tunnel effect. Okay. Venus can represent your money. I told y'all that in the second video. Why my son just texted me like, hey, man, bear with me for a minute. I got suspended from my job because his phone went off and he drive trucks. He actually drive fuel. So you ain't supposed to mess with your phone. And he went to grab his phone to put it on silent and the camera caught him. So he in violation of that. But what does Mercury deal with? Mercury deals with travel. He drives trucks and communication. He grabbed his phone. We're already in the zone already. Yes. Tomorrow is the zone. We're there. You see what I'm saying? So I just said that. You see what I'm saying? And so you can watch these things play out. So this is the time where you gotta tighten up. You gotta play by the rules. You gotta know what the rules are, and you gotta hold to them. All right. So mock them dates. All right. I'm just going back. So yeah, other stuff y'all can see this in the video, in the previous video. But yeah, here's this verse. If you kind of pick this video first, this is the verse 114 in the Quran and whatnot. And we're paying attention to verse number 4. Protect ourselves from the mischief of the whispering, the elusive prompter who returns again and again. And that word for the return again and again, that translates to mean, as we see right here, the retreating planets. That's why we see it in 114, the one who withdraws. But the second time and the only time that that word was used means by the retreating planets. Okay. So I'm not making this stuff up. This is the inner teachings of the Quran. This is what, well, I say the Fatimid dynasty was on, in the Sufis, the mystics of Islam knew all about this stuff. All right. So it's time to really, we in the West, you know what I mean? It got to make sense, man. You ain't gonna be able to kill us with religious dogma. The Quran says, what's my favorite verse, y'all? What do the Quran say? In the heavens is your provision and everything promised to you. That should be your question to Muslims. Where's our provision at? If it's in the heaven, who gives us our provision? Allah does, and that's not what the Quran says. Quran says everything that's promised to you is in the heavens. We didn't say nothing about he give it to you. All right. So then I'm gonna have to ask a question. Where in the heavens is it? All right. Man, I done broke this joint. Totally cracked it. All right. So tonight, what time are we on for our online paint party? We're gonna have fun tonight. What time is that, y'all? Is it 8 or is it 9? I gotta go find a flyer for it. Online paint party, paint and sip whatever you sip. I ain't tripping. Do you, right? But we're gonna paint one of the attributes. So remember, in the Patreon, you gotta click on that link, find the attribute, one that resonates with you, and then that's what you're gonna paint tonight. All right. So you know how Arabic is all artsy and very cursive-y, you know what I'm saying? So it's calligraphy. It's a beautiful language. So you pick an attribute that you resonate the most with, and let's just paint, and let's paint names of God. That's what I'm on. I think that's beautiful. Go get me some flowers in a minute. I'm gonna probably take me a Venus bath beforehand. And I'm gonna paint a name of God. That's how I'm gonna spend my Friday. I ain't going to the bar. I ain't going to have a drink. I ain't going to the hood. I ain't doing none of that. I ain't calling no chicks over. I ain't got nothing to call anyway. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? I ain't doing none of that nigga stuff. I'm going to paint the name of God on my Friday night. That's what I'm doing. So make sure that y'all go to that in the Patreon. Hit that link. Find the name of God you resonate with. Run to Dollar General, Family Dollar, whatever. Go 8 p.m. All right, and go grab your materials. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just a watercolor, right? Just this is the beginning stage. So get you something to paint with. All right. All right, I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. I'm out of here, man. I gotta make some moves, hit the road and whatnot. But I will see Patreon. I'll see y'all tonight. If you're not in the Patreon, what you waiting on? Hit that right there. All right. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.